Hi, today we're going to show you how to put together the display stand SVG from Simply Crafty SVGs. So to start with, we're just going to jump right in. You just go ahead, I'm just inking the edges. I just show you that you can ink the edges of your panels before you put them on. And this is for all the panels. I already inked them all with my little color box chalk ink. This is what a completed one looks like with the straight edge, and I'm going to show you how to put together one with the round edge. So I usually like to put some of my panels on first. It's easier to put them on first than to put them on after something's assembled in 3D, if you can. Some of the curved boxes you can't. So just going to center each of these panels. So there's panels for the straight edge that are separate than the rounded edge. And then there's panels that will go on the base. So these are the panels that go on the actual edge. So we're going to add them to the entire two pieces that are there, the edge pieces. And I increase the speed obviously because there's not a whole lot to this. And if you do like these projects, it would be helpful if you could hit a like down there and subscribe if you haven't already. I would appreciate it. So we're going to jump ahead, and that's one piece, and the second piece I didn't torture you through. We want to make sure that these pieces are good and folded well on all the scores. So I'm doing that right now. So when we put it together, it's easier. We want to make sure that they're folded well on all the scores, including the tab scores. So we want to put these two pieces together. So we're going to put a little glue on that little side tab. Then we're going to match up the other edge, the edge as close to the tab fold that you can. So it's centered on top and bottom. And then I'm just applying pressure, make sure it's secure. And then you can almost make it flat to glue the second one. It's not quite flat, but you can do it flat on one side and then match up the edge. And you can just match it up and apply pressure to the actual tab location. And that'll create the top portion edge. And we have two pieces. First we're going to glue in the main support of the top, and then another panel to hide all the tabs. So the way we're going to do is insert that large piece into the middle here, and I'm only putting glue on 6 of these. There's 12 tabs because I know the glue will dry before I get them in. So I'm gonna just line it up, and you're gonna push in the sides as you push this in and apply pressure to all the tabs we glued, which were 6 of them. I couldn't quite remember which 6, but so I just rub once I get the inside edge of the folds aligned with the panel, I just applied pressure, as you can see, against the table. So now I'm just flipping the tabs over on the other side and adding glue to the other 6. I just have a fast drying glue, so if you have, the type of glue you use, if it doesn't glue as fast as mine, you probably could do all 12. But this way I have to make sure it's not gluing in. If you're using Scotch quick dry like I do, or a quick dry glue, you might want to do half and half. And then just do the same. You flip it over, and I'm pushing in the edges to make sure that that panel is flush against the inside fold of that tab score, or tab fold I should say. And then there are things on the top. My mat was a little dirty. So that's what it'll look like. That was the straight edge version. So we're going to take the next panel. And the one thing when you're putting a panel over a panel like this, and all we're doing is trying to hide the tabs, you want to put as much glue to the edge as possible. Otherwise you may have to go fix the edges a little bit with a fine tip applicator. And be careful how much glue you put on. Make sure you understand your glue. I did put just a smidgen too much, but after it dried it was okay. So I'm just aligning it. Before I really applied pressure, I just needed to make sure it was aligned properly. And then once it is, I just flipped it over and applied additional pressure. And if you do have any edges that are kind of pulling up a little bit, you can use a fine tip applicator to get glue into those edges and make sure it goes down. I had one or two spots that I didn't put glue all the way to the edge, and I had to add a little bit more glue with my little fine tip just to make sure it was flush. So now that that's done, we put it aside and we're going to work on the base. So here you can see I've already put 3 panels on one portion of the one half of the base. So you don't have to put the panels on, those are optional, but I think if you're doing it for an occasion or of some sort, it just makes it pop a little bit. And I did emboss one of mine, and I think it really did make a difference. It would be fun for display for a wedding, or you could put candles on it. I mean, there are things that you could do on them, other things. Of course, we can use a real candle, use a glass plate. So here I'm just making sure that everything is folded well. And you see that top piece kind of folds forward. So the top piece will fold forward. So I'm going back and forward before I put it together. Make sure that it's folded well on all the tabs. Those little tabs are a little bit small, so just know that those, don't be too worried about it. They will attach. This is really one of the reasons I wouldn't say I would go too much smaller with this file, because of those little tabs. But if you do want to, it'll adjust. It'll be really small to glue. You won't have much to glue, but once you put it together, that top tab will hold it together. And you really won't see that portion too much anyways. It's just a stand, but you can see it from the side, so that's why I'm putting panels. So you could really omit that top panel without really taking away from the design. So I'm not going to show you the second one in entirety, but these are how the panels go on, and they're the same on both pieces. I want to put you to sleep. So now that we have the panels on, we're going to put these together. We're going to assemble the 2 pieces together to make the base. And I'm putting glue on both those that little panel. So it'll be, you'll have to fold it in a little bit. So it's going to fold in. You might want to do it from the top first, because the top kind of folds. It's almost more perpendicular and then angles in the second section. So you just kind of want to apply pressure, line up that tab fold with the edge, and do it one section at a time. So if you have to flip it over, I'm going to try it from the other edge. Sometimes a different design requires you to move it around your hands. So this one, kind of angling up to attach that piece. And it takes a second. You need to hold it in place. It might take, it could be up to 5 seconds depending on your glue to hold each tab. But again, with the Scotch Quick Dry, I just got used to it. Oh, and actually I'm not using Scotch today. So, but with Scotch, normally, I did use Scotch earlier. This is in my little bottle. My fine tip applicator for my Scotch broke. So I'm temporarily using art glitter glue, which I had in this little bottle, and I actually will not. I like the bottle tip itself. I'll put a link, but let me just clarify, and hopefully I'll just put a note next to it. I am not a fan of this bottle. I like the tip, but the way that they manufactured it with pins that go on the top. And the pins broke within a week on 2 of my bottles. So they are from Darice. I do like the tip, but I did have a now this is not no pun intended, but a tip from somebody else that to use the cover for your blades from your Cricut or Silhouette. They have a little cover on them when you buy them. to safety cover so you don't, poke yourself. They're blue usually for the common blades. I actually replaced my pin with those, and it seems to be working so far. It's just like little rubber tip. So this is art glitter glue. It's not my preferred glue, but I had a lot of it because I tried it. But people love it, so that's your glue. Have fun. It's just a little bit watery for me, but I'm getting adjusted. A little bit does go a long way. So now that you can see we're putting together, the two pieces go together with these side tabs, and we'll close it the same way. And you see it kind of folds in that top fold, that top score area, folded area. I just wanted to look a little bit more modern like shape, but I didn't want it rounded. I tried rounded. I wasn't really happy with it for the size. Then we can go ahead and add glue to these top tabs so we can fold down that top piece. We want to match up the edges of this top panel as best we can to the edges of each side here. So you can kind of manipulate it with your fingers and rub on the top to get a little pressure. And then you can flip it over and use, I tried to reach in, but my hand's too big, so you can reach in and apply pressure with a blunt tool like a wooden chopstick. I had things on my mat, so I keep on rubbing it off. And then the last thing we'll do is add the panel on the bottom. So when I add panels like this, because it's a closed section and I can't get pressure behind, I usually want to line it up first by gluing it to one tab. I'm anchoring it. This is just helpful for me. You could glue all tabs and try to align it, but for me, I want to be able to have something that it's attached to. So make sure it's good and secure if you're going to do it this way. And then, just like we did the top, we're going to add glue to each section. This time, you kind of want to make sure your tabs are up just a little bit, because you can't get pressure behind them once it's closed. So we kind of want to make sure it attaches. So we're going to go around, fold it down, and go around to the edges and kind of push in, make sure that the edges match up to the panel bottom. And then apply pressure, rub each of the tab sections to make sure that it's good and secure. And then rub it against the table. That always helps too. We just want to make sure it doesn't flip open on us. And then we'll just glue this to the top. Now I didn't put any lines or anything. The bottom is 6-sided and the top is 12-sided. So you can glue it anywhere you want. You just try to eye it. So what I did is add glue to, of course, a small portion, the big portion. So it's just having some glue issues, so I just I had to unclog it. So just go ahead and add some glue to the small portion of the base, and then you'll just eye it, center it. I didn't want to force you to put it in a certain place because it is 6-sided and the top is 12-sided, and you need it to look good the way you want it to, so I didn't want to force that. And then go ahead and apply pressure, and once it's on, that's finished. So I'm going to show you the completed project with the straight edge and the rounded edge. This is the rounded edge version, and this is what the straight edge looks like. So hopefully you'll get some use out of this file. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.